Vlachos has spent some time looking at working with emergency preparedness, and the reason why I think that this is transformational is because there is a calmness I'm finding for myself as I open up to the truth, which is that we're not necessarily so safe, as safe as we think. Even you were talking about the electricity going out for like 4 or 5 days. So, there are, even just for our own personal comfort, there are ways we can prepare for something like that to happen and something even more significant to happen. And I think that it might offer our viewers some personal comfort just to learn some simple things they can do to be prepared.
Yeah, I was thinking, it's a huge topic.
It is.
It's a huge topic. And when we mean by emergency preparedness is just being prepared for whatever kind of emergencies may come, and large and small. And I was trying to think about this last night. How would I share about this? Because there are a lot of things, and I'm not an expert, I'm going to say that. But I think there's a lot of simple things that we can do practically. We could have a bag ready, for example, that if something happens and we need to quickly leave our home, we have the essential things that we need in that bag. If we have it, we're calmer.
So what would you put in your bag?
Basically I would put things I needed, clothing. Personally, I would like, because of the era we live in, because I've got, like everyone else, we got busy lives, I want summer clothes and I want winter clothes in it. Because to be honest, I don't want to change it over for each season, just because there's so much to do. Now someone else may want to change it over and that's fine. It's your own personal bag of what you would need. And so a variety of things, and it could be any kind of emergency. It could be an emergency where your house is on fire, so you have a bag prepared that's got clothes in it, sneakers, shoes, underwear, extra prescriptions, vitamins, whatever you would most need. If you left your house, it might have your favorite photographs in it, because if you had a fire, at least you would have something. It may have copies of the title to your car, your homeowner's insurance if you own a home, your passport, things of this nature that if your house burnt down and you didn't have them you could have a fireproof box as well, but and maybe you have both. Each person decides what's right for them, but that you have everything that you need. And there's simple things, and that's in a case if you had to leave your home. And, no one likes to think that way.
Right.
And it kind of sits there in our consciousness. There are things we're afraid of. There's lots of things. The world is not as safe a place as we like it to be, and things can happen any moment, but we kind of push that aside. Unless we're confronted with it. But there is a place where if we do some preparing of some things, we actually become calmer inside. And if something were to happen, we're better prepared emotionally to deal with it.
Right, and remember the statistics you told me?
Yeah.
About people's reaction in an emergency.
Right, I understand the statistics are that in an emergency, 80% of people will freeze.
Right, like a deer in the headlights.
Exactly.
Can't react, just...
Exactly, they'll freeze. And then there's a 10% will just wig out.
Freak out, right.
Really,
yes.
they won't be able to think straight. They'll be very frantic, dashing around, and just wanting to run from the situation without thinking.
Right.
And then there's the 10% that actually can think and can stay calm enough to take appropriate action and figure out what that is.
And so, so other than let's say preparing my bag, which hopefully puts me in that 10%.
Well, it helps.
It helps to put me in that 10%. What is there another thing that I could do to create some kind of a space where I like a simulated experiment or some kind of thing where I could, because I know that you have done that, and do you think that, practicing fire drills and stuff like that, does that help you be in that 10% or?
I think that it does.
Okay.
Because it helps you to see how you might react.
Uh-huh.
Because we don't always react the way we think we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we're surprised by it. So if you can pretend you're in a situation where there's a fire in your house and everybody needs to get out, for example.
Right.
What would you do? If you have a 2-story house and the kids' bedrooms are upstairs or someone's upstairs, do you have rope ladders so that if they couldn't use the stairs to get out, they could throw down the rope ladders and people could get out?
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know where a fire is, how long it's going to take, or when the fire engine's going to get there.
Sorry that I'm laughing. Do you hear that noise?
Oh, garbage truck.
If you're doing a show, it's not an emergency situation if the garbage truck is in the background making noise. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm so used at home, I always hear it. I didn't even notice it till you said it.
Okay. Anyway.
Anyway.
So a rope ladder.
For example,
yes,
you need to think of each thing. You should have fire extinguishers available.
Like upstairs and downstairs, do you have fire extinguishers both places?
Yeah. Because sometimes just having that is just as simple to get out. I had a situation myself. This is a personal story where I wasn't at home. My husband was at home. He's in a wheelchair. We had a puppy at the time, and he had. We were in a small apartment. There were people above us, and the dog started barking. And he said, "What's going on? Why is it dog?" And he goes into the kitchen and sees that something's caught fire. Well, what happened? He'd accidentally hit the stove on, and something had caught, and that was too close. We had a really tiny kitchen, and so he got everybody out. He called the fire department. The policeman came, and the policeman pulled out his fire extinguisher, went to get the fire out, and his fire extinguisher didn't work.
The policeman's fire
The
extinguisher.
policeman's fire extinguisher didn't work. But I had one in the kitchen, and my husband knew that, and told the fire, and he put the fire out. Now, it took another 5 or 10 minutes for the fire truck to get to our home. It could have been a disaster. It could have been.
Right.
But it wasn't, because of a very simple thing, and that's just having a fire extinguisher close by. And there's different ones for your kitchen. It's good to have smoke detectors. For whatever reason, the smoke detector was not in this situation today.
Wow.
We had smoke detectors. It just hadn't reached them yet. The dog caught onto it first,
Good.
and everything was all right. And those things happen every day. Something really simple like that, and practice. Practice makes it calmer as well. I mean, I wasn't even home in that situation, but we had things around to make everything all right. And
I remember as a child, my mother used to just annoy me so much because we would practice fire alarm. Like we would be, just going to bed or something, and she would walk through with a potter, ding, 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 fire drill, get up, and you'd have to get up. But even school children practice all the time, and it's I think it is better and less unnerving if you've practiced. I know that, Christine, you did a whole thing. You did a whole practice thing, didn't you, with Miracle of Love?
Yes, we did.
Did a whole...
It was over a period of days where we pretended that, we pretended different kinds of scenarios of different kinds of emergencies,
Right.
Where the power goes out, for example, and you don't have power, and maybe you don't even know why you don't have power. Storms can do things. I mean, even in this era, we know earlier in the year, there were quite a few people in certain areas that were out of power for 4 or 5 days. My parents were out 4 or 5 days one time and 4 or 5 days the next time, and I know there were a lot of other people. And in that way, trees went down and got wires, and then what happens if someone can't get to you?
Right.
Also,
Right.
make sure you have what you need.
Right. So Did you, I feel like part of emergency prep is like having a store of like canned food and extra waters and stuff like that, because I remember, I remember people complaining that when they did the simulated experiment, they were eating their stores of food, right? And some of it was really terrible. Like, isn't it true you want to, like, if you're going to practice or if you're going to put stored food together for yourself, you want to make sure that you've tried it and you like it, right?
Of
like,
course, yes.
Weren't
yeah.
there like,
well, yeah.
nobody
yes.
wants to eat powdered eggs for very long or
Right,
something?
yeah, so you try it, you see it.
Right.
You know, you make sure you have enough water, enough things to drink, enough things to eat, if you have no electricity, for example.
Right.
But I was also thinking, knowing we were going to talk about this, the internet is a great place to search things, and you'll find things you never even imagined for all kinds of different scenarios. And and it really sort of starts you thinking about things. And there's a lot of different sites. A lot of them are just camping sites, because, you know, for people who go out camping and what they need to survive while they're out in the wild. But then there's other things that you can use at home as well. I mean, you can store extra food, like you said. Then there's things called MREs, meal replacements, that can last in your home for 5 or 6 years even, and sometimes longer depending on what it is. Some of them have a whole meal, a whole really nice meal, that can be, you can open up and it can heat, for example. And I have some of those, just to make it easy. And yes, I have some canned food at home too. Right. I have water at home too. You know, we're kind of jumping around a little bit on all the different things, and there's a lot of different things and scenarios. And we talked about what simple things should people have, and one of the things that I thought about too, simple, anyone can do, is simply make sure that your car, most of the time, has a full tank of gas, or not less than half, and keep it full most of the time, because you never know when you may need it. And I always was struck by when you told me once that you had to take your son to the hospital in the middle of the night.
Right.
And
nothing was open.
And nothing was open, and what if you didn't have enough gas to get to the hospital? Now, yes, you can call an ambulance, but wouldn't you want, you know?
Right.
And maybe that's, in some situations, that is the right thing to do. But at the same time...
Well, and to call an ambulance because you don't have enough gas is pretty pathetic, you know. But anyway.
But anyway, you know, there'll be some situations where it is better to call, but then there's some when you want, make sure that you have gas in your car.
Well, we're almost at our half-hour mark, so I wanted to just quickly recap. Okay. This is Dr. Christine Vlachos from the New World Chiropractic Center, and some special tips that she gave you for today were to find a good multivitamin that will really, you know, increase your energy and facilitate some change for you. Another tool for transformation is raising your awareness so that you know that emergency situations do occur. And a couple things that she suggested were making sure your car doesn't have less than half a tank of gas, packing a bag of things that you might need and keeping it in your car, having extra stores of water, making sure your fire extinguishers work. Anyway, that's most of the things I can remember on the fly. The other thing I wanted to just tell the viewers is that we have an email address for the show. I don't know if you can do this graphically. This is our first show, but it's called Tools for Transformation. Oh, yay! I can see. Ooh, toolsfortransformation@gmail.com, and please email us if you have a tip and you would like to be on the show. Please. Email us if you'd like more information from Dr. Vlachos, and thank you very much for being with us today.